Good day, welcome to News Now on TV360. I am Thelma Ukuru. Two suspected cases of monkeypox have been reported in Lagos State, southwest Nigeria. The cases were confirmed by the state's Commissioner for Health, Jide Idris, at a press briefing on Monday. He says there is no confirmation of the diagnosis and added the situation is currently under investigation. Meanwhile, the Nigerian government has condemned reports linking it to the current outbreak of the disease in some parts of the country. A viral message on social media had alleged that free medical care by the government in the affected areas caused the outbreak of the disease. Apart from Bayelsa and Rivers State, neighboring Akwa Ibom has also reported suspected cases of the viral disease. Nigeria today commenced its first major trial of thousands of suspected accused of being involved with Boko Haram. The closed trials took place at a military base in Kainji town, north-central Niger State. It's not clear how many people were arraigned on the first day of the trials, but up to 1,670 people will be tried in the coming weeks, with a further 5,000 people after that. Many of the suspects have been detained for several years. It's the biggest series of terrorism-related trials in Nigeria's history so far. In 8 years, only 13 people have been put on trial and just 9 convicted of being part of the Boko Haram sect. More than 20,000 people have been killed and millions of others displaced by the Boko Haram insurgents in several countries in Lake Chad region. The Nigerian army says it has killed 2 Boko Haram terrorists in an ambush in Borno State, northeast Nigeria. In a statement, the army said the terrorists were intercepted in Linga village of Borno State while attempting to flock some rustled cows into the Maiduguri cattle market. The troops recovered 5 AK-47 rifles, 5 magazines, 11 rounds of 7.62mm ammunition, as well as 1 metal box containing clothes and a horse. Unfortunately, 1 soldier sustained injury during the operation. One of the most talked about disagreements has taken a new turn. Group Managing Director of NNPC, Mike Barrow, has finally reacted to accusations leveled against him by the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Ibe Kachiku. Kachiku had in a memo sent to President Muhammadu Buhari accused Barrow of insubordination and corruption. He also accused the NNPC GMD of awarding contracts worth over $26 million without due consultations to the board. However, in his own reaction, Barrow has denied all the allegations. According to him, the law and rules do not require a review or discussion with the Minister of State or the NNPC board before these terms can be approved. He described Kachiku's accusation as, quote, unfortunate. Gunmen stormed a market in the Nigerian city of Port Harcourt on Monday, killing at least 10 people. The incident happened at about 4 a.m. at a meat market in the Mboshimiri area of the city. Most of the victims were market women, and sadly, no group has still claimed responsibility for the attack. Police in Rivers State confirmed the shooting but declined to comment on the number of people killed and those injured. Nigeria's Vice President Yemi Osinbajo on Monday denied planning to run for the country's next presidential election in 2019. Osinbajo says he had no thoughts on contesting and no timeline when he may make such a decision, clearly signifying his loyalty to Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari. He was speaking during the FT African Conference held in London. Nigeria has faced heightened uncertainty over President Buhari's plans to contest the next elections in 2019. The president took office in 2015 but has been absent for much of this year due to an undisclosed illness. The music and personality of late Afrobeat musician Fela Kuti came alive in Lagos State on Monday when family and friends as well as guests converged to discuss the legacies left behind by the Nigerian musician. Speakers at the gathering discussed the issue of Pan-Africanism and the many questions Fela's music has left unanswered.
It's been 20 years since his death, yet Fela and Nicola Kuti's works continue to remain ever relevant in the present Nigeria. Fela was a social crusader and campaigned vigorously against colonialism and corruption. It is no surprise that these two issues are the main focus at this gathering.
Corruption is a cancer in the body politic. Corruption undermines education. Corruption undermines health. Corruption undermines agriculture. Corruption undermines our infrastructure. Corruption destroys our very being.
What are we going to do about the culture within political parties? Because if you are talking of governance, this is the whole foundation, from local government, ward, to the very highest. What are we going to do about our political parties? Because short of shooting them, we must do something.
In the drawing rooms of the rich, nobody talks of religion or ethnicity when they want to destroy and steal the wealth of the country. The question of sex is irrelevant. As a matter of fact, all the armed robbers in Nigeria, all the money they have stolen since 1960 has not been up to 191 billion naira stolen by an executive of a bank.
While the speakers all agree that corruption is a big problem across the African continent, there was no agreement as to whether the West can be exonerated from Africa's corruption problem. But there was unanimity of opinions that the continent needs a new crop of leaders who will make governance work for the people and guarantee accountability.
The reason why we are so vulnerable as African countries is because we do not know what we want. Our leaders, as Greg Mills has said, that poverty is a choice. Our leaders have taken that choice, and our leaders also use our difference to divide us.
Fela Kuti is a prophet. He's an African prophet for our day. He could see things that other people seemed not to be willing to look at. And now we are dealing with the results of what he saw.
Yes, Africans are corrupt, but I beg you, don't be tempted to jump to the conclusion of the West that stigmatizes us as the most correct people on earth. It's not true. The Transparency International trying to rank great corrupt countries. You see, Nigeria is corrupt, Ghana is corrupt, Cameroon is corrupt. But Switzerland, that warehouses all corrupt money in the world, is never in that record.
This lecture today and the discourse from the contributors have shown that yes, we can actually get it right, but we require the courage of leadership. Nigeria is the bastion for Africa's development. Without getting it right in Nigeria, Africa continues to lag behind, because some of these other small countries who are making effort to reform do not even have the capacity or the influence to, to weigh it on all the rest of the continent.
Celebration is a yearly music and art festival to commemorate the life and times of Fela. It has become an international event celebrated in 5 different countries, attracting artists from across the world.
7 people are feared dead in a boat mishap involving a family returning from a farmland across the River Niger in Yauri local government area of Kebbi State. The boat was ferrying 9 members of the same family when the incident occurred. Musa Mohammed, who is the chairman of Yauri Local Government Council, claimed the cause of the accident is a water surge released from Kainji and Jaba Dam in the region. The Police Service Commission says it has no powers to discipline the Inspector General of the Nigerian Police Force, Ibrahim Idris. The force was reacting to an interview credited to Aisha Tosan, who is the producer of a television program, Crime Fighters. In that interview, Aisha had accused the police IG of allowing emirs, ministers and senators to influence police postings. In a statement, the Police Service Commission admitted the IG had not implemented some of its recommendations, but added it had no powers over his actions. As the date for the Anambra State governorship elections draws closer, the National Youth Service Corps says at least 8,000 corps members presently serving in Anambra State will participate in the polls. Ebenezer Olawale, who is NYSC's coordinator in the state, says the data of corps members have been transferred to INEC. The election scheduled for November 18th is to be contested by 37 political parties in the state. No fewer than 4,281 Nigerians were deported from the several European, American and African countries through the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos between January and June this year alone. This gives an average figure of 24 Nigerians deported daily through the airport in the first 6 months. According to the Ministry of Interior, over 2,000 of the deportees arrived in the country through chartered flights, while 2,030 others came by regular flights. Many of those were assisted by the International Organization for Migration.
Corruption not in my country.
Hello? Yeah, I found your wallet in front of a supermarket. Meet me at Apple Junction. Yes, I'll be waiting for you.
Now we find out. Two of us.
Thank you very much, officer. You know, it's surprising that men like you still exist in the police force.
Yes, so...
Oh, yes.
This is just a token of my appreciation.
Oh, no, you don't need to do this. We're only doing our job.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
You're welcome.
Now I know police is really my friend.
Yes.
Friend. Hey. Okay, which came up with this one? I don't understand.
You know your problem. You are greedy. I'm a policeman who is doing his job. All forms of corruption in the force. Not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Welcome back. Moving on to business stories now. Nigeria's naira remained stable at the parallel market, trading at 363 against the US dollar. It's the same level the currency has traded for the most part of last week following intervention by the CBN. The bank has continued to inject liquidity into the forex market to prevent a fall of the naira. Oil prices stabilized on Monday, propped up by OPEC's comments indicating the group and other producers may take further action to restore market balance in the long term. Brent crude was down 28 cents at $55.34 per barrel, while U.S. crude futures were trading at $49.32 per barrel. OPEC is due to meet in Vienna on November 30th, when it will discuss its pact to reduce output in order to prop up the market. Nigerian stocks climbed 1.3% on Monday to hit a 6-week high after its biggest listed firm Dangote Cement and some consumer goods companies gained. The main share index rose for the fourth straight day on Monday to near 37,000 points, a level it last reached in August this year. The four major advances for the day are Total, Nestle, Dangote Cement and international breweries. On the decliners chart are Lafarge Africa, Cadbury, PZ Cussons and Dangote Sugar. Meanwhile, the finance sector seems to hold the trade listers as Diamond, Access and Zenith banks, including First Bank of Nigeria Holdings, made the top traders list. At least 37 people, including 3 children, were killed in protests following the announcement of Kenya's election results back in August. In a report released on Monday, the country's human rights watchdog, the Kenyan National Commission on Human Rights, said 126 others were injured in the incident. The protests began after the electoral body announced incumbent President Uhuru Kenyatta as the winner of the August 8 election. Opposition leader Raila Odinga says the election was rigged and claimed he won the vote. He has vowed not to participate in the October 26 presidential election rerun if opposition demands for an election commission overhaul are not met by authorities. Outgoing Liberia President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf has addressed the nation calling for peaceful elections on Tuesday. 20 candidates are standing to replace Sirleaf, who is Africa's first female president, in the first round of polls. Sirleaf, who is stepping down after 12 years in office, will be the first democratically elected leader in 73 years to hand over to another elected leader. Official results are expected within 2 days, but the electoral body has until October 25th to issue its final confirmation of the results. Nigeria's Aruna Quadri defied all odds to emerge as men's single competition at the IWTF Challenge Tagged Polish Open. Quadri defeated Japan's Kai Yoshida 4-2 to become the first African to win IWTF title outside the continent. Quadri will participate at the Liber 2017 Men's World Cup to be staged later this month in Belgium. Neymar has called on UEFA to expel Barcelona from the Champions League in a dispute over an outstanding loyalty payment. The Brazil international's legal team made the request to European football governing body as part of the ongoing row with his old club. UEFA is yet to respond to the letter from Neymar's camp. The star player left Barca for Paris Saint-Germain after they paid a record-breaking fee of £198 million for his transfer back in August this year. France Football has released some names for the 2017 Ballon d'Or award. So far, key names like Neymar, Luis Suarez and Harry Kane are among the 15-man shortlist released. The list will eventually be increased to 30, with the rest expected on Monday evening. The award, created in 2010, is usually awarded to the World Player of the Year as voted by journalists, managers and captains of various national football teams. Well, that's all we have on news now. Thanks for watching. I am Thelma Okoro.